Recently, a satellite image became public, revealing that the Russian Federation's so-called Aerospace Forces concentrated Tu-22M3 strategic bombers at the Engels Air Base for the first time during the full-scale war against Ukraine. Currently, 5 Tu-22M3 aircraft carrying Kh-22 missiles are stationed there. Furthermore, as of July 28, 4 Tu-95MS and 3 Tu-160 bombers were stationed at Engels Air Base. It should be noted that this aircraft group has long been stationed at this airfield. On the other hand, the Russians redeployed 2 MiG-31 aircraft to this airfield in June 2023. However, it is unknown at this time whether these aircraft are MiG-31K, carrier for the Kh-47M2 Kinzhal hypersonic air-launched ballistic missile, or MiG-31BM, supersonic interceptor aircraft. OSINT analyst Mount Anderson shared the image on Twitter. It is reasonable to assume that the Russians relocated 5 Tu-22M3 bombers to the Engels airfield as part of efforts to improve the survivability of their strategic aviation, in order to protect their scarce bombers from potential Ukrainian strikes. As it turned out, there are currently only about 40 aircraft of this type in the Russian Aerospace Forces, despite the fact that there are 60 such bombers on paper. However, it appears more likely that the Russian armed forces intend to use the Engels airfield in the near future as another base for Tu-22M3 missile carrier strikes on Ukraine. The distance from the Engels Air Base to the Ukrainian border is approximately 700 kilometers, while the declared combat radius for Tu-22M3 bombers carrying a load of 12 tons, 2 X-22 missiles, is approximately 1,500 kilometers in supersonic flight mode and up to 2,400 kilometers in subsonic flight mode. As a result, the combat radius of the Tu-22M3 bomber is large enough to use the Engels Air Base as another base for launching massive missile strikes on Ukrainian territory. Previously, the Russian Federation carried out a large-scale modernization of Kh-22 missiles with conversion into Kh-32, and detailed the features of such updated cruise missiles. On the other hand, Ukraine's Air Force warned of the risk of Russian cruise missile attacks after detecting 2 Tu-22M3 bombers taking off. Eastern, southern and central areas are at risk of missile attack. 2 Tu-22M3 long-range bombers were spotted taking off from Mozdok Airport. There is a risk of launching cruise missiles. Don't ignore the airstrike warning. The Ukrainian Air Force announced on the night of July 15, local time. Since the beginning of the special military operation in Ukraine in February last year, the Russian Air Force has continuously used Tu-22M3 strategic bombers in missile raids on Ukrainian territory. Cruise missiles launched from the carrier killer Tu-22M3 have caused heavy damage to Kiev's military facilities and energy industry. Since 2200 last night, airstrikes have been issued in the provinces of Sumy, Poltava, Kirovorad, Mykolaiv, Odessa, Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, Kherson, Zaporizhia and Donetsk, as well as Lugansk and Crimea. The Ukrainian Air Force said the missiles were detected flying towards Zaporizhia in the south. Explosions were heard in the area. Andriy Yermak, chief of staff to the President of Ukraine, announced that Russian forces shelled the village of Stepnohorsky in Zaporizhia with multiple rocket launchers, hitting an administrative building. The raid left 3 people injured, including 1 man and 2 women. Anatoly Kurtiev, Zaporizhia City Council official, also confirmed that Russia shelled the city, hitting and damaging at least 16 buildings. Meanwhile, Vladimir Rogev, a Russian-appointed official in Zaporizhia, said that Ukrainian forces destroyed a school in the village of Stolneve, while Russian air defenses intercepted a drone in the city. Tokmak. The Tu-22M3 can fly at an altitude of 13,000 meters. Its maximum flight speed is Mach 1.88. It was developed during the time of the Soviet Union and is a structural division unit of the Russian fleet of strategic bombers. The Tu-22M3s use powerful Kh-22M, Kh-22N, or the more advanced Kh-32 supersonic anti-ship missiles to engage targets deep in Ukraine. For the first time, the VKS used this bomber in Ukraine on April 14, launching the so-called silent bombs. Later, sometime in July, Moscow sent at least 6 of these bombers to Belarus, where it deployed them to support Russia's special operation in Ukraine, a term Russia used to justify its invasion of Ukraine in February of that year. The main task of the Russian Tu-22M3 is bombing routes used by the Ukrainians to deliver Western equipment. Judging by the fact that Ukraine continues to receive Western weapons without problems, the effectiveness of these bombers is clearly not as effective as expected in Moscow.